Welcome to the Jay and Brian Show, the fastest growing talk show podcast in America. Join Jay and Brian for unscripted, thought-provoking, and entertaining conversations about life, business, and the world we live in. Tune in as they spotlight influential communicators, business leaders, and personalities from sports to entertainment. Here now, Jay and Brian.
What's up, Jay and Brian Show fans? Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Jay and Brian Show. I'm Brian.
I'm Jay.
And we are excited to have Dave Specht on the show today. Dave is owner of Mic Drop Comedy Club in downtown Chandler and operator of Spectacular Real Estate. So he's also a real estate tycoon. But hopefully he's going to make us laugh today.
Well, no pressure. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Super excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me here. It's fun.
Before we get rolling, I do want to thank our viewers who are watching on YouTube. We really appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It does help the channel. We really appreciate your support.
It does. We're at 166 right now, and my goal right now is we're going to hit 170.
Thank you, Dave.
170.
All right, let's do it.
Maybe 200.
I'm 4. I'm good for 4. Okay.
So Dave, we are looking forward.
Before we get rolling, I also want to thank my partner Jay, who's coming on to the air right now with a headache.
Oh no, so you're not doing this. He's doing this.
You shouldn't have set it off the air if you didn't want it to be real.
You brought it up. You told us. So.
Yes, I do have a headache.
This is the episode where Jay and Brian break out.
Thank you for bringing it, man. That's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that, Brian. I really do.
But you were about to ingratiate our guests. So what was
I was. Dave, we were so thrilled to have you on our show today. Okay. And we are really, really looking forward to having you make us laugh. So
okay. Please, I don't like the pressure that either one of you are putting on.
Just let her roll. Let us have it.
You want material? What's happening right now? Let's have some fun. I want to thank you for the glass that I had here. So Absolutely. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers, Dave.
If you want to come on this podcast, you need to, be worth it. But they have mugs, and I think it's fantastic. And thank you for being human and having a headache and letting us know you have a headache.
I do.
Your hair, I want to say, is perfect. Nobody would know.
Well, you know what?
Nobody would know that inside that perfect head is a pain. Nobody would know that.
I've been told that. I've been told I have good hair.
Just say thank you. You know what? Just say thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
He's like, I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Shout out to Bonnie on the My City Lender team who hooked Jay up with some headache medicine.
Yes, she did. So hopefully this is going to subside as we go, as we continue to laugh.
If it does, I say we give them a shout out and we get a sponsor.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. If it's store brand ibuprofen, whatever it is, we're going to get it on there. So yeah, this is great. The studio is beautiful, you guys. You have no business having a studio this nice for what you do for work.
Well, thank you very much.
There's no business. This is it's like when a bar has good food, you go, why is the food so good? It's just a bar. This is a really beautiful studio.
Well, I appreciate
that.
It's
beautiful. Yeah, it's great.
And shout out actually to Blue 32 and Gilbert. I felt that yesterday. We had lunch there yesterday, and it was absolutely amazing. Amazing food, bar food, but it was tremendous.
Okay, what does that have to do?
Anyway, yeah.
They donate the foam. Okay, all right. I see what you're saying. But that is a restaurant, more of a restaurant. But I know what you mean. You go to a dive bar and you're like, why is the food good?
Why is this food so good?
Why is it good? It doesn't have to be good.
Maybe you want to come back though.
The studio is great. It's like a $6,000 microphone that I'm talking into, and I hope we get some content here and really get those 4 viewers I promised you.
Well, we were thinking, what better guest to have on than an actual comedian who's also a real estate agent, navigating this ridiculously crazy housing market and makes people laugh for a living. I mean, that's a great combination.
It's a fun tie-in, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It is a good tie-in. So people say, well, how do you do both, or how do people take you seriously? And I think it's when you're good at what you do, when you're on stage, you see somebody do a good job on stage, or you command the stage, or you talk to an audience, that translates very well to talking to the opposing agent, not the opposing agent, but the agent on the other side of the deal. It helps you work with all kinds of customers, right?
Right.
It helps you like disengage, if somebody's upset or high strung or whatever, kind of just take care of that by identifying it and getting around it. So
how do you, so what is the comic skill set that works in that instance? Like
so I host shows. I mean, I hosted in the last 8-9 years between 2,000 and 3,000 shows. So It's crowd work, it's talking to people, it's being confident, it's diagnosing what's going on with you right now, knowing he has a headache, but he's being strong, identifying what the real want is when you want a house. Is it being close to funds? Is it being close to play? Is it square footage? Is it who's really the decision maker here, and identifying all that stuff, and then also getting along with the other agent. That is such a key that people don't have most of the time. You know, you butt heads with the other agent. You think I'm representing my person, and you're representing your person. We can't get along, but really your job is to fuse it together and make a deal happen.
Which is weird because you're both trying to sell the same house.
It's this, you try to put a deal together.
To get somebody
I never
in a
say
home.
I'm selling your house, my client, your client. We're putting a deal together, or we're not.
Yeah.
Period.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that's not funny, but it's just, that's how the skill relates. That's how the skill goes with it. And I think if you're good on stage and you're really in tune with your audience, you really are in tune with what's going on. That guy's got his arms folded. He's not sure about you yet. Like if you're not in tune with that, you're nuts.
Someone told me that a long time ago about body language and crossing and going like this. And so like every time I do that and I'm talking to somebody, especially somebody I haven't met before, I go, I probably should unlock because I want them to I want them to know I'm open.
It's just like
to them.
open posture.
I want to know what they have to say. I want their perspective.
If you have your phone on the table, if you have your purse on your shoulder, that's like I'm ready to go. I'm not engaged. It's all of that stuff you can read. So that
now what if they answer the phone that's on the table?
Are you going to do that?
I mean, what's?
Then I think you're really,
I got to take this call.
Yeah, I'm a little busy right now.
Hold on one second.
They didn't give me a mug.
It happens
I'm
all
so busy.
It happens all the time now.
It does. It's terrible.
People will I'll have somebody in my office, and my rule is I'm going to answer my phone if my wife calls me. Okay, but outside of that, the person sitting in front of me is more important. So
yeah, you got to be able to compartmentalize.
but people do it all the time.
Be present where you are. Man.
Do you mind if I take this call? Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not judging you.
Yeah, I mean,
completely now.
My time is worthless.
I hope she doesn't troll the podcast, knowing that whenever she can derail it, she can.
Well, it's on do not. Sorry, honey, it's on do not disturb right now, so nobody can call me because one of the cameras is my phone. Just gave you a little behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
Can't have that vibrating in the middle of an episode.
No, you can't.
That sounded
Do not disturb.
Yep.
So
good. All right. So what do we got?
Question for you, Dave.
Yep.
So how did you come into this career in comedy? Like comedy is not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. Like you said already, it takes a tremendous amount of confidence.
And it's harder nowadays, isn't it?
Well,
you can't say the wrong things or careful, that kind of thing.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
So, so how did you tell us? How did you get into comedy?
Okay, so we got into. I started watching improv like when I was. Everybody watched Saturday Night Live, right? But I'm from Illinois, and Second City is in Chicago. So once you hear like Chris Farley came out of Second City, and that's in Chicago, and that's near where I live in my little town, I wanted to kind of go that route. So I enrolled in improv class at Second City in Chicago, which is everyone's, if you've heard of improv, you've probably heard of Second City. If you haven't, you know all the people that came out of there, Tina Fey, Bill Murray, So I took class there. And then at the same time, I had a corporate career that wanted me to move to Chandler, Arizona. So I moved to Chandler, Arizona, and I kind of was like, oh no, this other thing that really fulfilled me is gone away. So I joined a team in Scottsdale, met my wife. She was also performing there. So
your wife is also in comedy.
She's also in comedy. She's the funny one. Yeah, she's the funny one. But she doesn't like doing this kind of stuff, right? So
all right.
Yeah, but she loves. She performs all of her shows. She's the heartbeat of the team, and we wouldn't have a club without her. And she's fantastic. So I met her doing comedy, and we just, we live in Chandler, Arizona, which is south of Scottsdale, and there was no entertainment. There just wasn't anything in downtown Chandler. And we thought, well, why can't we do what we do here? Because even the audience would drive from other places. So we just thought, gosh, what if we did? And we were doing math, and we're like, if this many people came to the show, if this many people, it would pay our lease, and we wouldn't have to quit our job, and it would be a net, even. So long story short, we signed a lease and made it happen. But a lot of stuff happened in the meantime. People didn't understand what we were trying to do. They didn't know what the comedy show was. They're like, what do you mean you make it up? Like, it's weird. That's a weird thing, improv. So we ended up producing a series of comedy shows at the Chandler Center for the Arts. It's just the biggest venue in the East Valley. It's very cool. Everybody's heard of it. So once you've produced something there, people will take you seriously. So then we produced that series, and then we started having lease negotiations, and we signed the lease, and we opened the doors with just chairs. We didn't even have anything. We didn't have anything.
But it's hysterical. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's where some of the short content that I watched you do some of this improv
Probably.
it came from. And the show is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, we used to record every show and I'd go home and edit it. But we were doing 4 shows a weekend. So I was like, my goodness. And I have a father and I also had a Fortune 500 corporate
Holy
job,
cow.
so I was doing all that. And then the editing kind of just went away. We just were like, well, if you're not there, you miss it kind of deal, which is true with most improv. Stand-up's a little bit different, but
Are you recording any of the shows that you do now?
Not really. We had somebody there.
So it's like you got to come or you're just going to miss it.
Kinda, yeah, because it's not like Who's Line where they have an audience there for 3 hours and they pick the best stuff. You got to be there. You got to be in the room and know the content and the context and what the suggestion was and all that stuff. So that's kind of how it started. That's how it all started. And then
fun.
Yeah, down the line, we ended up, scrapping some money together, and we were fortunate enough to be, beloved by the city, who had a bid for a building that they had. And so we bought that building. I mean, this is really a very short version of a very hard story. It sounds so easy. Just do it. Just buy a building and own a club. But I mean, it was years and years of work and hard work and doing the right thing and being, good people to good people. And a lot of stuff fell in line for us, but it was a lot of hard work. And we bought a building, renovated a building, found really good partners that we've partnered with now with the club, and they do a lot of the heavy lifting and booking, and it's a phenomenal product. It's a really great night out, and it's tremendous. And we still headline 1 weekend a month right now, whereas we used to do every single weekend for 9 years, which is so many shows. And it's been good to pull back a little bit and kind of let my brain unscramble, So it was jarring, but it's been a really good mix for us. So.
Awesome. And you've gone on to fill daytime space as well with a nonprofit.
We do. We started a nonprofit about 4 years ago, a youth theater. So
awesome.
The space that we vacated to move into our current space, our old leased space, is now a youth theater. So we run a nonprofit youth theater, a whole second business that's bringing entertainment to the community that we love. So yeah, it's phenomenal what we do.
And you have a separate website for the nonprofit?
Yep, Chandler Youth Theater.
Youth Theater.
Okay.
.org.
Yeah, we'll have all these links down in the description for sure.
Yeah, it's just awesome. It's just, my wife and I both, she's game for a lot of fun ideas, right? And so am I, and we will...
It's this open mind.
Try stuff. And we went to lunch before and I was like, what about this? What if? And you it sounds like you guys are similar where obviously you started your own business, you have podcasts and you've got some fun ideas in the background. But if you're open to trying something and you've got a little bit of a safety net, but you believe in yourself, and I just think that's where it goes. That's where it goes. It has to.
So what age group for the nonprofit?
The nonprofit, kids as young as 5.
Okay.
I mean, there's kids that, some kids can read at 5, some can't read at 5. So they tend to do shows that they kind of know a little bit, like they'll do Aladdin or Finding Nemo or whatever. And we, help teach them, but,
awesome.
All the way up to 18. So once they're 18, they kind of age out, and there's been talk of maybe doing community theater, but I got enough on my plate right now. But for the kids, there's tons of stuff they can do. We have a lot of shows, private lessons, improv class, and theater is so good. So good for kids.
Oh, awesome.
Confidence.
And you would, I know you said you headline on a lot of your shows, or you did at least over the last 9 years or so up till this year.
Yep. Our team is Improv Mania, and that's our improv team, our squad. And we did every show every weekend. We did pandemic shows. We did, a sketch show basically because we couldn't be live. So we did that online. I mean, that's another way of, we survived because we tried something just crazy. And we had a awesome team, JC, Austin. They would stay up till 4 a.m. editing videos, and they were in shows. JC's been in, almost every single one of our shows. He's just a machine. He's hilarious, and couldn't do it.
Are you
emceeing
any of these shows too, where you're introducing the new comics? And
the stand-up, I don't. I've kind of backed off a little bit, which is good. I think I just truly believe, like, if you're going to have a legacy, you got to get out of your own way a little bit. So your ego can make you like, I want to be in front of all those people and they don't know who I am. But I think that's how you live on pretty much, I think you got to kind of get out of the way. So that was good for me. I was really it's all fun and games where you're doing shows, but it's just a lot. It's every single weekend. And again, like I said, I had a day job and I do real estate, which we haven't even touched on, which is, a whole separate thing that's during the day. So it just was so much stuff. So to lean on people who are really good at what they do, even though you can't have your hands all over it, you got to trust and know that it's going to live on. So that's kind of where we are right now with the club.
Love that.
So how often do you perform still? Or
once we do one weekend a month. So it's still 4 shows.
Okay.
It's still
is it
a
the
lot.
same weekend every month? Or
It's usually the third weekend of the month.
Okay. I hate to say and admit that I've never been to one of your shows.
You never been to one? Well, that's okay.
I need to change that.
That's
Need to
okay.
come. Maybe we need to go together.
You gave me, a mug, and I wouldn't mind swapping a mug for some tickets. So
Let's go.
It's even.
And it's
Let's
been a
do
while since my wife and I have been to a comedy show. The last one was in downtown Phoenix. It's actually a funny story. We're at the show, and it's kind of one raunchy comic after another, just doing their thing, and then all of a sudden this one guy comes on. He's and they're not really like clean cut. They're kind of grungy, like this and that. And this clean cut guy kind of looks like you gets on the stage. And he's going through his bit, and at one point he starts talking about people moving out of Phoenix to the suburbs, and he starts looking around. He's like, "Where are you from?" And this one couple, which was close to us, but we didn't know them, but they're like, "We're from Chandler." He goes, "Oh, Chandler." Yeah, that's where everybody moves when they give up on their dreams, and then they pop out a few kids, name them Jaden and Caden.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
And you guys have a Jaden, so.
And we have a Jaden. So
And a Caden and a Fladen and an Aiden. That's funny. That's like the Schaumburg of Chicago is Chandler, I think. Schaumburg is the same way. When you don't want to live in Chicago anymore, you move to that one family-oriented suburb,
So do the two cross over at all? Do you have real estate in your stand-up at all or anything like that?
Not really. Ryan does. Ryan's my real estate partner.
I would think
does.
there would be a lot of material there.
There is material. So I do mostly improv, which is made up on the spot.
Right,
so I mostly do that. I will do and write stand-up every now and then. It's not my favorite, and people can't believe that. How can you not like stand-up comedy? But
Well, they're very different, aren't they?
the rub of the road. Like when you're on the road as a stand-up comic, you're doing these jokes every city. And for some people, that's great. They love that. That's like when you go on that Jungle Cruise at Disney, and that person thinks, "Oh, I got the greatest job in the world." That's great. It's the same jokes, every 15 minutes, your whole day. And that to me, I don't know, to me, that's kind of depressing. I like the danger of not knowing what's going to happen and what the audience will be like. So, but Ryan does kind of both. He does both, primarily stand up, and he'll do, a lot of real estate material. I've written real estate jokes and things, but
Now, do you have your clients like sign a disclosure waiver? Like, hey, we
let them know anything they say can be used on stage.
Might show up in a costume.
Yeah, that's good.
Your story might actually surface here soon.
Whatever you say is going to happen this
Don't
weekend.
do anything too strange or goofy.
This Friday night. Yeah.
Wow.
But it does overlap a lot. I've had people that at the show, I'll mention I'm a realtor. I run a real estate team, all that stuff. And they'll come up after the show and I'll hand them a card. And people will, most of the time, not below, "Oh my gosh, that was real?" You really do? But I've had people that come up and then they've bought a condo or they bought land or they bought a house. So we've had both. I actually have a tattoo on my arm here from a person that came to the show, and he said he was looking for a real estate agent. And I said, "Well, what do you do for work?" And he said, "Well, I run a tattoo shop." And I said, "How about this? You buy a house from me, I'll get a tattoo from you." Thinking, what do I have to lose? And he bought a house from me.
Sure
with the day I handed him his keys, his wife goes, "So when are you getting that tattoo?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness. Okay." So I did it. I, drew up the design I wanted, and that's why I have a tattoo. So I'm like, I'll support you if you support me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah. So that's why I have it.
So I have a question for you.
Okay, here
this
we
is
go.
completely maybe off topic, but so in comedy, what would you give as far as advice for a new comic that knows that they're funny,
Okay.
but they lack the confidence, or there's something else that's going on that's holding them back?
Okay. That's good. That's a good question. That's fun. So let's say they want to do stand-up, comedy. So there's a night called open mic night. And I'd say the worst thing you could do is just go watch open mic night. And it's good too, because open mic is everybody. It's seasoned, really funny people trying new stuff. It usually goes terrible. Or it's new people trying whatever they think is funny, and that's usually terrible. So usually an open mic's kind of terrible just by design, because it's there for practice.
Yeah.
So even if I'm really good, really confident, really seasoned, Jerry Seinfeld goes in and he shows up at the cellar and he tries new jokes. Granted, he's Jerry Seinfeld and people laugh because he's him. But if he wasn't him, it probably wouldn't go that great, right? So I'd say go to open mic and then you'll realize, okay, I'm at least as funny as this half of people who are trying it. And the other part is I teach a stand-up comedy class, and I think if you have a desire to do it and a willingness to be vulnerable, people just want to be safe. But if you have a willingness to be vulnerable and actually talk about what's unique to you, you can get there really fast. Like you can get jokes written. We do a comedy showcase in 6 weeks, and you're usually ahead of somebody who's doing open mics for 2 years. So if you really want to do it, you're the only thing stopping you, really. Okay. I mean, there's really not that talented people who've made it because they just do it. I've seen people on Conan O'Brien that wow, that person, they just stuck with it. They stuck with it. They got there, but there's funnier people. I usually think the funniest people don't do comedy at all. They're interesting and funny, but they're so interesting they do other things. The funniest person in your life, the funniest person in your life is not a comic. It's not going to be me. You've got funny people in your life, but they're like, no, I'm a pilot, or I like this other thing. I love fishing, and I write books about zebras or whatever I do, but it's usually not comedy. It's bizarre. So I think to do comedy, you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, they have these interesting lives that bring all of that experience and the stories, they can draw on.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's great. Are you thinking about doing it?
It's not me.
Okay, it wasn't you.
Me. No, I've got this
it's a friend.
It's a friend of a friend.
Just asking for a friend.
I'm not interesting. Sorry.
It's actually
say vulnerable. No, thank you. I have.
It's actually one of my wife's really really good friends. She's hysterical, and anyway,
still code for Jay.
Yeah,
still Jay.
No. My deep down, I really I love the thought of voice acting. I really. Love it. I practice things. I talk to myself in the mirror.
That's great.
Jay did,
different. Yeah.
He did voice our original Jay and Brian show opening.
Yeah. I love that stuff.
It was great.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. That's good. This whole
Get
career
me early in the morning, and I'll do the Paul Frees, Haunted Mansion.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff.
You love voiceover. Yeah. That's great. There's careers in that. I don't do it, but I did somebody, they wrote a book and I did the audio book for them.
Oh,
that's kind of the same
thing. Yeah,
kind of the
absolutely.
Same. Didn't get paid for it.
Did you have to
more of a favor?
Right.
More of a favor work.
And how long was the book?
Yeah. It was what was it? I did one that was I think it was the whole book. Or a chapter. I can't remember. But a book. It was like a mystery book.
Yeah.
And then one was a sample of a book. Something that we're going to have the author on. So we read a part of the book. So I was characters. Okay. I was multiple characters.
Oh, interesting. Book. And did you change your voice inflection and all?
I did
all of that too?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, a little bit.
You want to give us a little bit of that? Or?
Not really,
okay.
No.
All right.
I'm the morning DJ. I might be this guy for, I'm no Hank Azaria, but yeah, I was going
to say, you have a job on The Simpsons if you can do that really.
Yeah, you could, it's all what's this character's, I talked to my daughter. She's in our youth theater, and it's not about the voice. It's about the point of view. If you can do the point of view, you can maintain the character. If it's a voice, I feel like anybody can do it. But if you really get that point of view figured out, I think you're good to go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just it keeps you in character. You're in the moment. Keeps you in
character. Helps you also in stand-up if you kind of know your point of view. I'm a a dad who tries to be manly, but I'm not. If that's your character.
Okay.
That's how you go about every bit. That's kind of think about Jim Gaffigan. That's how he is. He's an insecure kind of deal. So you have the content, and then you go, that's my point of view. How would that guy go through this scenario? Or you talked about Brian Regan earlier. He takes very simple things and he's just, confused by everything.
Animated.
Right. Yeah. So he takes everything and he's like, how can I break that down to the most simple step and be just absolutely befuddled by it? Yeah. So I think point of view is very, very fun to teach.
So how does a comedian, an owner of a comedy club, get into real estate? Was there not enough humor in the comedy that you wanted to go into the real estate business?
I just wasn't sad enough. Yeah. So I was like, I don't feel like a failure enough. Let's do something where people tell me no all the time. Let's make lives miserable.
Now, why won't they respond?
Why won't they talk to me?
They're not answering
just
their phones.
Anything.
They won't call me. So Ryan, I brought Ryan up. He does stand-up comedy. He was, one of our improvisers and a good buddy. And he always said, hey, you should do real estate. You'd be good at it. And your schedule makes sense because it's like comedy at nighttime, and then you kind of have the day free. That's where I did my corporate job. So I was like, I'm pretty good. Well, I got in the spot where I quit my corporate job and just had the club. And then, COVID happened and you just like, there's no comedy. You're not going to go into a room of strangers and breathe all the air. It just wasn't what was happening for a little bit. So I thought, well, my excuse was always I didn't have the time to take the class.
Okay.
Got nothing but time right now.
Right.
So I put the kids to bed, tried to figure out how we're going to pay the bills. And I was like, well, let's just do this real estate class because you can kind of do it really cheap online at the time. And so I did that. The kids never really knew, like, times were weird, right? Times were weird, but they didn't need to know. So we'd put them to bed, and then I would do real estate school at night. And then I passed the test. I took I think I took the written one. I think I took it twice. I missed it by a question or two, something devastating because it's 4 hours where you go, and it was one little stupid, like, topic about parcels or something that you never use in actual real estate. So studied that section, passed it. And then it's been great. So I posted kind of the story online on my Facebook, like, hey, times are real tough and here's what we did. And I basically wrote the post to my kids just saying, here, when you look back and you scroll back, if you ever do, you're going to find this and what we went through, So basically I posted it to them, but it was, public, and somebody stepped forward and said, hey, I'm buying some land. I want you to do it for me. That was day one. So on day one, I had a land deal, had no idea what I was doing. Ryan, held my hand through the whole thing. He's fantastic. Awesome. So that's kind of how it went together. And we know so many people that just, they know how much we care about the community. We're not just, the silly goose that owns a comedy club and is trying to take your money. It's like we put everything into the community. So people know we're not going anywhere. Like, if I ruin your deal, I can't go anywhere.
They know where they can find you.
My name is everything.
Yeah.
So our name is everything in the community. So I think people trust and they know that we put our heart and soul into what we do. So it's been just great. People are like, okay, you're the guy. I had somebody just close the deal, and I always do, like, here's your keys, photo. And she goes, you can't post this. My best friend's a realtor.
Yeah.
But we used you. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
ouch.
It's been great. But that's good,
for
right?
them. Ouch for them.
Ouch for them. Their best friend's a real estate agent, but they just knew that we were going to treat them right and take good care of them, not go anywhere. So it's been great. So we had a pretty good year, even though I know I don't know when this airs or when somebody finds this, but right now is a weird real estate time.
That's why we wanted Dave on the show today, because it's not a
we need somebody.
It's not amazing in the residential resale financing zone.
Refinancing is tough.
Make us laugh, Dave. Make us laugh.
Should be a different podcast. We should be crying in here. Refinancing, I guess, is really tough, but it's an interesting market. I think there's never a perfect time to buy, just like, there's never a perfect time to have a baby. It's like, it's a baby time or it's house time, right?
Yep.
And right now,
I don't know if I've ever heard it put like that, but that's great.
No, it's perfect. Because you don't know what the hell you're doing when you have your first kid.
You never know. You think we're not ready.
We're never going to be able to afford it.
Yep. Yeah. We don't have the room. We don't have the. But
well, think about that feeling when you first leave the hospital with your first child, and you're like, I've got to make sure this thing doesn't die now.
Yeah,
it's on us.
Wish I had a house to take it to.
And mom and dad are like, bye, good luck. We'll pop in once in a while.
Yeah, we tell our kids, speaking of that, I read somewhere, and I say it to my kids now, I said, while we're watching you grow up, you're watching us grow up. Because we've never done this before. Mm-hmm. So when we're making mistakes, I want you to know we don't know what we're doing. And that's okay. I think it's okay to just tell them, we don't know what we're doing.
Totally is.
How would I have been a dad before? Have you been a son before? Have you been a daughter before? You're screwing some things up, Yep. So I think it's fun to have those little fun conversations.
It's funny, you always have your parents like on this podium until you become a parent. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, wow, they make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Kids are making a lot of misks.
Which is why you want to pull the curtain down earlier so that they're not like walking into adulthood like it just should all happen perfectly. Yeah. And
how would you know? How would you ever know how to do it? There's no way. They didn't know how to do it.
Right.
Yeah. It's too much.
And our parents didn't either. So there you go.
Yeah. Look at us though.
But our grandparents, they knew what they were doing.
They had to, right?
They always know what they're doing.
They couldn't have been winging it.
It
There's
was
no
like
way.
they came out of the womb. They knew exactly what they were doing. And I don't know.
My grandmother lived right next door to my college campus when I was at UC Santa Barbara in California. And I'd go over and have dinner with her once a month. And she'd say the same thing to me as I left every time. Don't lose your humor. Keep your sense of humor. That's what's important.
And you did anyway.
I loved it.
She specifically said
He
not
nailed
to.
me.
Lighten up, Brian.
She specifically said not to do that.
And here I am.
What point did you disobey?
Here I am, a mortgage guy.
I'm not. And you can ask my kids. I'm like, and my wife. I'm just a big kid, and I like to try to make everyone laugh all the time.
I think it's why not. Why not is the
cares?
most fun slogan. It's why not. What's the worst that could happen?
My running joke with Matthew right now, he's a whiz with the Rubik's Cube. And I learned how to do it, but it took me like 6 months to learn how to do it. And it takes me 3 minutes to solve it. Took him 2 weeks, and he can solve it in I think his record's 37 seconds.
Really?
So he's moving on to cube after cube. And every time he gets one, I'm like, you need some help solving that. You need your dad to show you how to do that. Shut up, Dad. Come on, stop. That's a bad joke now. I'm like, I think it's funny. Actually,
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that I'm trying to tell you that you should take lessons from me. I think that's
From a guy who has no idea what he's doing. Wow, that's good. And you can do it in 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
That's pretty good.
My
that's not bad.
party trick.
That's pretty fast.
My dad used to do it, but he would wait till after we went to bed, and he would disassemble the cube, and then he would put it together in right order. So I thought he was a genius until he told me, no, I broke it every time.
It's a big, gigantic memorization thing.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no desire. No desire to memorize. I think I'm clear on that. Yeah, that's cool. Kudos to you, though.
So yeah,
Kudos.
bad dad
I took my
jokes.
son, my almost 9-year-old son, I took him to Walmart the other night because he wanted a father-son night. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, let's go to Walmart. I'm like, okay, let's go to Walmart. So we go down that
Maybe raised
puzzle.
the bar. Noah. Was it Noah?
It was Noel,
Noel.
the youngest one. He was like, yeah, let's go to Walmart. So we go down the puzzle and game aisle, and he pulls out the Simon. Remember Simon?
Yeah.
Where you'd push the different colors
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
based on memory.
Yeah.
He goes, Dad, I'm really good at this. I'm like, okay, let's see it. He's doing it. He's going, and I'm like, I don't even remember where you left off, and he's still going. And he got to 16, and I'm like, that's impressive.
This is
good.
good.
You really have a good memory, unbelievable.
You went and bought it that night, or you had it at home?
Oh no.
None of those?
He's testing the one in the box, in the store.
Oh, you're at the store
We're at the
during this
store.
whole...
We're in the.
That is
we're in
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm like, you're really good at that. And
Did you get it, or you just put it
telling
back on
my
the
wife,
shelf?
I'm like, I think this is a really good Christmas gift idea for him because
Oh, you
he's good
left
at
it at
Simon.
the store.
Yeah, we left it at the store.
So your hobby with your son is to take it to Walmart and look at
Oh
stuff?
no, you have no idea. You have no
leave
idea.
it.
Tease him with it.
No. It's training. Trust me on this. Like my
he's
wife
getting
used to
serious
take
now.
him. Oh, and dead serious. But she would take him to the store and when he was really little. He's a collector type. No, okay, so not a hoarder, but a collector.
That's what hoarders
Okay,
say.
so
That's where
collect-
hoarding starts, though.
Yeah.
I
collect-
think.
That's what they also say.
okay.
This is worth something. Okay.
Jay,
It's
don't
gonna
you
be
have
worth it.
don't you
Okay.
have a closet full of
Stop. Okay, so he would pack the cart full of stuff, to the point where he was almost swimming in the stuff. The cars, Hot Wheels cars, you name it. Monster trucks, the whole cart filled of stuff, knowing he's not getting any of it. And then put it all back and go to the
So he's
checkout.
a future hoarder.
So you
Yes.
let, so you
I
let
never
him,
had any of this
you let him
He's a
get
hoarder in
so
the
you let
making.
him get it into the basket.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No,
Wow, that's kind of
this
it's a little
is Sarah. This is my wife.
It's a little bit evil, actually. It's a little devious.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
A little bit
too,
mean,
but-
maybe. I don't know.
But
don't
it's trained
understand.
him. So
I don't understand this night out.
He's not leaving. Yeah, he's not leaving.
Then you
with
take
this
him to
stuff.
dinner and
What
he
is it?
orders all this food, but he's not
Now
allowed to
put it
eat
back.
it.
What are you,
Now put it all back.
what are you training him to mess with his kids one day? Is that?
Yeah. It's the I don't know. We're training him in the no response.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, you're just not going to get everything, I guess.
Except you didn't say no before it went into. Oh, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. So no, we did not leave Walmart with the Simon, even though he's really good at it. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what lesson that is.
I don't know either. But
Oh, that's incredible, though. All right, good.
you're incredibly mean.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly mean lesson.
I just don't even understand
teach your
the night
9-year-old.
out. What do you want to do? Well, we're going to kind of do it. You want to go to Walmart? Have your dreams crushed?
Yeah, that's what he wanted to do.
All right, good. Good.
Can I ask you about your upcoming comedy podcast that you're formulating, or is
that's good.
Is that not public yet?
We've been playing with it. We've been shooting one on the iPhone, and we do like a weekly update. And like you guys are trying to figure out, the format and all that stuff. Seems like you found your footing. But we're doing market updates to start, and it's just like, it's not, I don't know. Nobody cares.
Sounds a lot like don't do this during a mortgage
transaction.
Episode number 1.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it depends what your end goal is. And
it's
ours
good
is
information.
But we met in doing comedy, so people expect it to be funny.
Sure.
Or at least light. And we're like, oh, this is a good time here's rates. And nobody tunes into us for that.
They watch us for that.
There's boring podcasts for that stuff.
Dry, boring content.
Yeah, but I just think we're finding our footing. So I think at some point, we're gonna have a more. This is like, I was really glowing about your setup here. It's really nice. The uplighting and the how handsome the hosts are. I mean, just every bit of it is really well produced.
Quick, turn the cameras back on.
It's so nice. It's nice.
Right.
So
turn those lights off.
we'll be putting something a little more formal together.
Okay.
But nothing is good when it starts, and that's I think people worry about it being good to start.
So
it's got to start to start.
You just have to turn the camera on.
The start is the start. Yeah.
And turn the microphones on the camera.
Yeah. They say don't let perfection get in the way of good.
We had $15 USB mics.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Don't let the perfection get in the way of good.
Yeah. Don't
really
let the end product get in the way of starting. Start. Sign the lease.
Well, I think the big thing,
start a show.
The big thing with a lot of people before they get started on doing anything on video is they cannot get past the camera. Like, what is someone going to think of me?
Well, it's all the self-doubt.
That's it.
Am I going to suck?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Is my content going to be good?
You're going to
say good things?
It's not going to be good. None of it's going to be good to start. Nobody's going to hit a home run.
I don't like the sound of my own voice. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
And Jay and I can attest to this personally with our $15 USB mics that sounded like voice. We were talking through voice modulators. They were so bad. Terrible lighting and talking about very boring stuff.
Yeah.
With no guest.
It's just to start. I think you figured it out by starting, though, and you kind of can trash those first ones and then start, because that's what we'll end up doing is we practice, and I think we get it, but we'll basically sit side by side so we're both in the same frame, or it's like, it's just it's great to start, right? But you know that can't be it. You know that's not the end result. So we'll be putting something a little bit.
If improv is your thing, and you guys can like just fly with it,
and we can fly.
Well,
with
it's both of your things, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah. And he's funny. He's like,
that's what you have to do.
And he has a different perspective than I do, right? And it's just funny. And I love the idea of a guest aspect.
So the second that we sat down, what was the first thing I said?
Get your hand off my leg.
I think that might have been the second thing. No, but in all seriousness,
where's your other hand?
No, I don't remember. What was the first thing you said?
It was, I remember seeing some improv.
Oh, yeah.
It was a short clip and it was great. It was hilarious, but it was Dave doing improv.
Yeah.
So again, if that's what's remembered, it wasn't, Dave, I saw your market update, and it was absolutely, it was tremendous.
When's the next one?
Right.
Out,
I think people overthink their thing. And we were just talking about point of view. And if you've got a unique point of view.
Like what I remembered was your Instagram, whatever it was, a short or reel or whatever it was that was on Instagram, and it was hysterical.
Yeah.
And that's what I remembered.
Gosh, I'd love to know what that was. I got to duplicate that.
I'll find it.
Yeah, you did.
It was
so we had lunch before this. That's what you mean when you sat down there. I got it. Yeah.
Have your people dig that one up for you.
I wish I had a people. One single people would be great. Need a people. Oh my gosh. How do you get people? Oh my gosh. All right. What else? What else do we want to talk about? We got comedy. We got real estate. How they go together. We got a youth theater. How about some motivation for people?
I like it.
Let's do some motivation.
Yep, like it.
Do you have a mantra that you live by, or a key to success, or something that's
the risks the risks that you regret are the ones that you don't take.
Boom. Give it up. I always say regret what you do, but don't ever regret what you didn't do. So do the thing. That's great. That's good.
The biggest regrets in life are the risks you didn't take.
Yeah.
That was the right way.
Yeah, as far as this was concerned, I'm with Brian on that one. Just turn on the camera. Don't overthink it. Just turn it on.
And it seems so risky at the time.
See where it goes.
Yeah.
But I do think you have to get to this point where you're like, you know what? I don't really care what other people think of it, because at this point I've got to do this for
you.
Us. Like, I've got to do this for me. We've got to somehow break through this fear. And
Well, we've been talking about it for 2 years. And
we
we're
had
like,
done.
And think
I
about
had to
all
secretly
of the,
buy $15 USB mics and be like, hey, I'm setting them up. Let's
You
go.
are really, really talking up these $15 mics.
No,
I
they're
feel like
not.
this is the biggest regret in your life was these $15 mics.
It led to this. It's not a regret. It's like,
I want a $15 mic.
It led to Shure
counter
SM7Bs.
on the screen. It goes bink 1, bink 4. I know. You got to let yourself have that one. These are. I'm telling you. I can speak.
It led to these.
About microphone envy, and I don't think there's ever been a better microphone than this right here. And I spent good money on a microphone during the pandemic with this.
Rode makes some good ones as well.
Tap yourself on the back there. Great job. Proud of you. These are not $15 USB microphones.
I'll have my people tap my back.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, I'll
Oh
pat your back.
no, you're a people. Oh my gosh. But no, it's great. It's really good. What was your mantra?
Just turn on the camera.
Oh, okay.
Because I really had a serious camera shyness, and I had to. Brian helped me really work through that.
Yeah.
And just kind of dismiss, like, just don't.
Have you
just
seen
don't
what
worry
a
about
deer
it.
looks like in headlights?
Yeah, but he's so natural now. You
I was
really
literally
are.
like, when we turned on the
took a
camera for
couple
the
of-
very first time, I was literally shaking.
Yeah.
Literally
No, here,
shaking.
I'm telling you, this one right here is picking you up super. They can't even tell your head is gravel on the inside right now. It doesn't even know that there's sandpaper between your ears.
All of that is true, but here we are.
It hasn't kicked
Pushing
in
through
yet?
it.
You still got the headache?
Oh, I'm feeling better.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling better. Thanks.
So what's your mantra?
I care.
Lay it on us.
Yeah. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. The one right now is there's a couple where never take advice or criticism from somebody who has never gone for it. So if they haven't done it,
I like that.
they don't get a
So
say.
good.
They don't
So
get a.
good.
They don't get a part. They don't get to do it. So if they, oh, is that? Well, show me yours. Oh, you don't. Okay. So, and that doesn't even get to register with you, you know, because there's all kinds of doubters like that. And I was thinking on the way here too about there's people watching everything you do that you don't even know. And it's weird. And it's haters, and it's also people who really admire you, you know, and they're
We
both
come across some of that.
they're both
of them.
secretly admiring you, even the haters. Anybody who's watching everything you do that's just so flattering, good or bad.
Yeah.
So, not that I don't think it happens a lot or needs to matter, but I think that, you know, you have enough criticism in your head, and if you get over your own, you don't need to worry about anybody else's unless they're where you want to be, you know?
We get some great comments on our videos.
Oh, you do?
I for the first time in a while, I actually went back and something popped up or something.
Did you see
up
that
an old
those
video
stuff recently?
Like what a chump, man! He's just lying through his teeth right now. Look,
Wait, is that true? That's a comment you got?
oh yeah, you get when you start.
You know, everybody,
when you have
all
a YouTube channel,
166 people right now are going to go check your comments. They're going to go, what are they saying about my friend?
everybody thinks they know exactly who you are when they're watching your YouTube videos.
Is that right?
Yep, and they treat you that way too.
That's
Yeah,
great.
we get some we get some really
Real
bad,
good haters.
bad haters on the shorts.
You
On
do?
the shorts.
Oh, the
Yeah.
shorts.
Oh, we've been called entitled. I can't really. I don't really want to say.
Look at these two rich professionals talking like they know what the common folk are going through.
Oh, man. And you're telling me they missed the mark?
Somehow,
What part of that isn't true? Why are they? Wait a second.
Well, this is my grandmother's. You got to keep your sense of humor thing. Don't laugh. Don't take yourself too seriously. You got to laugh at yourself.
No, there's trolls everywhere. Trolls everywhere. There's like the kindest, cutest
we share
videos.
them, and we're like, oh, I thought this one topped the last one. This one's better.
Oh, you should start introducing yourself based on your most hateful comment from the week before.
Ooh.
I mean, I would incorporate.
It's time for this week's segment. What's the
I would give a
nasty
shout out.
text?
I would give a shout out.
where the celebrities read their
The nasty tweets.
nasty tweets.
Yeah. Oh, we every now and then we'll get a 1-star review, and nobody takes a 1-star review. Like they start with, I've been going there for 5 years, and one time my drink was weird. And I'm like, well, why didn't you 5 stars in the 5 years? I just think it's bananas. Not us necessarily, but you'll see it all the time. So who cares? Nobody reads a 1-star. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So I think even like the people that are reading reviews to like look for a place to go, or I'm looking to go out.
They don't care about those ones.
They look at the one and they laugh.
Nothing's a
because
one.
they're like, of course, this person doesn't like anything.
The beautiful thing about owning a comedy club is you get to be your sarcastic self in a response to reviews, which I love. I've had people come to shows based on my responses to a negative review. And we don't have many. We treat everybody like gold, but every now and then there's just somebody unpleasable. And just to light them up a little bit, people come to shows because that's how you did it with humor.
awesome.
Like, why wouldn't you do it with humor?
Yeah.
What are you a comedy club for? So
It's your golden opportunity.
I think it's really fun. We give you a 1-star review. Here's what I just break it down. I think it's so funny. So I don't care. I don't care about haters.
Okay.
But every now and then you get a little nugget of feedback. You go, oh, okay.
So speaking of haters, and I don't want to pull this down because we're having a good time.
No,
here,
but here we go.
The world we live in.
We do it anyway. Here we go. I don't want to do this.
Controversy.
Yeah. No offense, but here comes some offense. All right, go ahead.
The world we live in is doesn't like comedy because it's like nobody wants to be offended.
Hold on.
So
Let's talk about this then. Let's talk about this.
I've never had a chance to ask an actual comedian.
Let's do it.
For his perspective.
Are you ready for the answer?
Lay it on me.
All right, sounds good. What's your actual question? Before I assume your question, what's your question?
How do you deal with people taking offense to jokes?
Oh, okay. All right. So here's what I would do. Normally, don't take this the wrong way, but typically people who ask something like that are white males. Usually.
Really?
Usually people who go, nothing's funny anymore. It's usually...
No, I'm not that guy.
I know.
I'm not offended.
I'm just saying that what happens is that's normally what it is. So there's been a shift a little bit, and it's not about being sensitive. It's not about being woke. It's about kind of challenging comics to be better, funnier. So it's taken away making fun of people for things they don't control.
Okay.
Right? So if you think about when you grew up, blonde jokes were funny. And that's...
Your mom.
Is it funny? Are blonde jokes funny? If you're blonde? Let's just take it to that. If you grew up and you're a little blonde kid, so let's take that up to the 9th level, right? We don't say certain words anymore, right?
Right.
You used to. You don't watch a movie from the 80s, you'll hear the R word. You'll hear all these other words, right? Words for little people, words for whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's things like that kind of have gone away a little bit. And I don't find a problem with that, right? As I'm a smart person, I evolve. I do it in business, I do it in comedy, I do it in every aspect of my life. So if you're telling me like, oh, this has kind of diminished some people based on a decision they didn't make for themselves, right? If you're wearing a ridiculous hat and a crazy shirt, that's a choice you made, right? But if you're who you are, how you're born, that's not, I don't think it's necessarily a target. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think people who tend to go, oh, well, nothing's funny anymore. Look at the jokes their dads used to tell, right? And go, who are they making fun of and why? And what was it? And who is it diminishing, right? And it's usually those jokes are pointed from a place of privilege, and people aren't ready for that. And they really aren't. As a guy who grew up in, as a white male, you grow up with certain privilege, right? There's certain things that can't be said against you, said to you. You can't be diminished in a certain way. And a lot of people don't like the truth of that, right? Mm-hmm. So if you take that away from some people, you challenge it a little bit, and they go, well, nothing's funny anymore. It's like, no. You're not funny anymore. You're not smart, right? You were doing things that were hurtful, probably, right? Normally, because you can absolutely do things that are funny, and they'd say, oh, well, this movie didn't age well. I mean, just imagine you're not you. Imagine you haven't been you your whole life, right? We've been us our whole lives, and we've seen superheroes, late night talk show hosts, astronauts. Everyone looked like us, right? And if you grew up not like that, the world's just challenging that a little bit. And I think that's good. And I think that's great. And I think it's, that's what people mean when they say, I can't make fun of anyone anymore. It's like, well, why were you? You did bring it down, didn't you? You did bring it down.
Silence.
Yeah. You wait for the comments on that.
Let me bring it back up.
Wait for the comments on that on your page and you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
You'll see. And I don't care. I mean, I'm totally comfortable.
Well, we care.
I've had those conversations because people will say, well, why is that not funny anymore? Why can't I tell jokes anymore? It's like, you totally can, but let's be smart about it. So it all goes back to when I started. I was talking about when you find your voice as a stand-up comic, vulnerability to me is the number one. I think that makes you powerful if you're vulnerable. If you're poking fun at yourself and you know your own truth and you know your own deficiencies, that's super relatable. But if I'm picking on you because you have a stutter, if I'm picking on you because you're overweight, who am I? I'm the worst, right? So if you look at the comics who really were able to point it at themselves, that's evergreen. That's good forever. Yeah.
So that's a good segue into who are your comic heroes?
This is good. That's good. I always think it's phases. That's a question that comes up a lot, and I think everybody does, right? So when you're a little kid, I think you look at who made your parents laugh. I think that's your first one. You go, wait, any comedian, right? Anybody who goes into comedy or desperately craves attention, right? They see who got that person's attention when I was a kid, and who made that person laugh. And it's like, Saturday Night Live in the 80s, it's Dana Carvey for me, or like Eddie Murphy, or Dennis Miller, people who really brought it. And then you go into the 90s, that's when I was coming into, teenage years, 20s. Jim Carrey. For me, that's me.
Phenomenal. Yep.
That's me, right? He talks to me. And then, we just lost Matthew Perry for me during Friends. That was the biggest show. And everybody, that show is cast in a way that you kind of relate to somebody on there, right? And to me, just the way he performed that role and all that.
That was great.
But it's like you don't even know who influenced you until they start passing away. And then you go, boy,
oh, man,
look at that person. And you don't realize, like, gosh, how much I love that person. Or when you run into a celebrity, you go, God, why does it mean anything to me? Because I don't really get starstruck. And then I'm at the airport and I saw Martin Short in LA.
Oh, wow.
And I had just told all my whole team, I go, I'm going to LA, but I don't get starstruck. And then the moment I get off the plane, it's like one of my favorite people on the planet, and it was Martin Short, and I totally fanboyed on him in the airport.
You did not.
He said, "No pictures, please, sir." Because I couldn't quite articulate.
Could you speak? Could you speak to him?
I could. I go, "Hey, I'm such a big fan. Can I do a photo?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "If I would have told you that I can quote your appearances on David Letterman from the early '90s, or whenever he went over to CBS, I remember when you sat on the piano, and you go, how does a man sit on a piano?" It just, to me, it's so funny, right? And he's got these, I don't know. So Steve Martin, Letterman. I love Letterman because he's, he has dark side, but he's such a good interviewer. He had such a good vocabulary. He's smart, he's interested. And there's people that, he wasn't great with and all that. But I think different phases of your life, you have different favorites. I think for sure. We talked about Brian Regan. I love the fact that he's so silly and clean. And, there's a lot of comics I think that affect you, but I do think it's in phases. Like your favorite band kind of changes. I think that evolves too. Yeah, for sure.
I have a question for you, Dave.
Yeah. Who's your favorite comic, first of all? And then
mine, I would say Brian Regan.
Brian Regan, yeah.
So for this phase of my life and probably for the last 15 years. Yeah, Brian Regan.
Don't forget the question that you had, but I want to know your answer too.
Tim Hawkins for right now.
Tim Hawkins. Good. Good. Did you see Brian Regan? He did one during the pandemic where he had gone all gray.
The nunchucks and flamethrowers, that one?
Is that the one where he's at Red Rocks, but he comes out and his hair's all gray?
Yeah.
He's suddenly got gray hair.
He's like, I don't even know what happened. I just woke up one day and
he
it was
addresses it right away. He's like, none of you will get past this. So I don't know. He's so funny. And then Nate Bargatze right now is probably, do you know him? It's okay.
Don't.
I'll send you. He's like one of the biggest comics, and he's clean. And he's so understated. He just has a style that you can't believe nobody's done it before.
What's his name?
Just so simple. Nate Bargatze. He just hosted SNL. He's one of the biggest comics right now. And he's clean, and you go, it's so simple. It's so simple what he does. He just breaks everything down, and you go, gosh, I think it's the best when it's just so simple. Yeah, and he's his own numbskull. Like he's his own target, and it's flawless evergreen material.
It's amazing.
So yeah.
Perfect.
And Conan, in case Conan's watching. All right, go ahead. What was your question?
My question for you. So in getting into a career or your interest in comedy,
right?
Were your parents supportive?
They're supportive of whatever. I think they're supportive of whatever. Absolutely.
So when you got started though, were they then?
Yeah.
Or were they just like,
because I only took a class.
He's just goofy.
I didn't say I'm moving to LA.
Okay.
They were always very pragmatic. Do you have health insurance and, save for the future? And I like the stuff you care about your kids doing, right? And you want that whole path.
You grew up in Illinois?
Illinois, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they both had careers with it. They had a job for 30 years and they got a nice pension and retired, and they did all this stuff and they're very stable, right? And I think it's a pendulum when you raise kids. Like you may have kids that are more like your parents because they saw you, because I wanted to go not that route. I wanted to go, what if I worked for me? What if I did it? Right? And their parents were entrepreneurs, like farmer, lawyer, right? So they were entrepreneurs.
Wow. Yeah.
And then that kind of swung, and both my parents were kind of in an institution, right? Government and school teacher. And then I'm like, what if it's crazy? So, and then my son is back like, this seems, I see you guys freaking out all the time about casts and shows and props and locations and rent and da-da-da. He's like, I would like an office job where I'm done at 5, you know? So I think it's a pendulum, which is nuts, but they were absolutely supportive. I wrote a business plan like the old fashioned way. Like I wrote a business plan like an adult,
Good
you know?
for you.
And I had a job. I didn't abandon a job. We put our own money into it and we started. You ever see, you know, someone start and it looks like beautiful in there. It's like beautiful. The place is perfect because they put every penny they had into it. We did the opposite. We were like, let's put barely anything into it. And then as we grow, it's going to finance itself. I'm not going to finance it. It is. So we signed the lease, but it was literally, I bought 85 chairs from a church who had too many chairs. So I paid $10 a piece for these chairs. We had a family friend construct a stage. I had a friend paint a mural that was our backdrop.
This is so relatable. Isn't it though?
It should be. That's a whole different podcast, how to start
Although
a
we've
business.
got way too much money.
Look at
into
all
this.
the beautiful artwork on the walls in here.
I know.
One of our team members,
Okay, good.
Summer, I'm going to go ahead and plug you, painted these things.
Painted them. Okay,
They're
good.
amazing. Like, look.
Good. But this is an example of it looks like I can't get over how perfect and beautiful it is in here because we slowly built our way to it. And then when I walked in here and saw it so perfect, so I was like, wow, you made it perfect.
Well, we
you
appreciate
made it
that.
perfect in here. It's
We really
beautiful.
appreciate that.
Yeah. But we'd love to have people come out to the club. You guys get tickets. I will give you tickets.
Can't wait.
micdropmania.com.
Yep.
So micdropmania.com. You can check out all the upcoming shows,
Awesome.
events. We do brunches, all kinds of fun stuff. You can see the menu. If you're doing
Can you buy tickets on your website?
yeah,
too? Okay.
absolutely. It's the future. You absolutely can.
Right.
It is the future. You can do it
future
online on your
is now.
You're
Yeah.
talking about on the computer? You can
or
do
on
that?
your cellular telephone.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's bananas out there. It's a crazy world. If your child is looking forward to getting into some shows, we do chandleryouththeater.org.
Awesome.
So, and if you're looking to buy or sell a house, there's no way you're watching this. So, no, we'd love to help them out. So,
Well, thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Loved having you here. This would be a great episode for anybody that was thinking about starting a comedy club or has a dream.
I think
building
honestly,
something like that.
I think anybody who's gone for it can listen to people who've gone for it. I do.
Love
I
it.
think that
Love
could be. I love it.
Yep.
I love talking to people who are. I just talked to somebody who hadn't started an LLC yet, and I'm like, you have to start an LLC. I'll do it for you. Like anyone who's done it would enthusiastically love to help somebody. So I
true.
love it when people have a dream and are like this close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rather than like, I should start a soda company. I'm going to bottle Coca-Cola. Like that's, start doing the thing you can do, the thing, your side hustle.
Awesome.
I love it. All right, you were just going to wrap it up.
Dave, thanks so much for being. Love you taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule. You wear so many different hats.
A lot of hats.
So many different things.
But it's you guys are great. You do a wonderful job, and I was absolutely honored to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we
And
really enjoyed having you.
Shout out again to our watchers and our listeners. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. Leave us your comments below. Who would you like to see us interview next? Would be awesome. We're going to have links to everything down below in the description for the Mic Drop Mania Comedy Club and the nonprofit, which I've already
Chandler Youth Theater.
I know. I
just
said I'd
talked
do it
about
for you. You're doing so much. Yeah, chandleryouththeater.org.
And the spectacular real estate
and
team.
especially Spectacular Real Estate.
Yep,
So.
we'd love to help you out.
So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks again, Dave.
Thanks again, Dave.
Thank you.
to see you soon.
All right.